Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Growing Wild Farm and Garden, where I want to encourage you to grow wild and plant something. So today we are going to be talking about the garden. We're going to go through a garden walkthrough, a tour, or I don't know what else they call it, but basically we're just going to look at the garden, see what's growing, see what worked, see what didn't this season, and maybe discuss a little bit about what we're going to go forward with. So here we go. So this is the corn that we sort of decided on late season, literally probably right in the middle of summer. And as you can see, we have tassels. There are three varieties in here. We had Silver Queen, we had the Golden Cross Bantam, and then we also had Peaches and Cream. I had to reseed down here because not all these seeds took exactly, and so I had to reseed. And you can see that they're a little bit behind. Okay, so here in the main garden, let's go over everything. Move our blackberry out of the way. Here are our two plum trees that I still haven't moved. We've got our white cloud bell pepper, which is prolific. So if you ever thought about growing it, I suggest you grow it. It's prolific. They grow like crazy. Passion fruit. Here's one of our coral bell peppers. It's actually doing pretty good. Got some decent sized peppers on it. It's not as prolific, but it's doing fine. This was supposed to be a different pepper, but the way it looks is it's a volunteer sugar rush peach pepper. And I don't know how it got there because it was supposed to be something completely different. Here is our elephant ear, which is also, I would say, prolific. I would call this one prolific for the size of the peppers that it's supposed to put on. Doing well. A paprika, Alma paprika pepper, also doing well. This one's almost ready and right to go. This was a clone Super Sweet 100. These are just passion fruit vines that go absolutely nuts. They're a weed here, but they're pretty and they bring the bumblebees. This is a lunchbox pepper. It was one of the experiments that literally we took from a grocery store, one of those little mini snacking peppers, and it is producing. Here's one of the tomatoes that I got wrong this season. These three right here, in fact. We thought that this was going to be a Brad's Atomic. This one ended up being Brad's Atomic. And this one ended up being a fuzzy peach tomato, which was not supposed to have lived. And then on top of that, this one is also a fuzzy peach tomato. So I got a big surprise whenever I finally saw fruit growing on these guys. You can see the little fuzz on that guy. They don't get very big. If I can find a fruit like that one that is split, they don't get very big. It's almost like a jumbo cherry size, if I had to call it anything. This is my Dances with Smurfs. It did just fine. It's got a little bit of haircut. It's, late summer, so it looks a little worse for wear. Here's our King of the North bell pepper. It is just now, for whatever reason, starting to put on a lot of blooms, even though it's kind of hot out here. I've had one or two peppers on it, but they fell off due to blossom end rot. This one is another lunchbox experiment that my kid wanted to plant, and it's growing peppers. This one is Gatherer's Gold, and I'm waiting for the peppers to actually turn. I like the shape of this one. I like the way that it grows, and so I'm going to keep seeds for this one to grow again next time. My little bullnose pepper, however, didn't go very well. It hasn't gotten very big, and I'm probably not going to grow that one next. I honestly can't tell you what pepper this is, so I'm going to put that down in the description or right below, right here somewhere, so you know. Another clone tomato that is just, it's going well. Everything's fine there. You can see the beans have all gotten extremely large, and we'll cover that a little bit more here in a second. This is, I believe, my Agit Palange pepper, and it doesn't get very big, I guess. It hasn't gotten very tall, but it is starting to finally put on a ton of flowers. Here's another one of those AG versions. I'm gonna have to look this one up. I can't remember off the top of my head which one this is, but I'll put it right there at the bottom of the screen for you. It's also doing really, really well. Lots of peppers. I'm excited to try. Here's my AG Dolce, and it's going crazy. Like, there are tons of flowers. I haven't seen a lot of peppers yet, but the flowers are definitely there, and that's what both of those are. They're doing well. Our Israel Cantaloupe is right here. I've got one that's growing just fine, but I have a couple babies that haven't even, they've been pollinated, but they have not decided to grow. So that's where we are here with that one. It's growing on the trellis just fine. I've got this one fruit in a sling, and so far I'm happy with it. Here's our rhubarb plant that is now going into its second year, its second winter. It's doing just fine. Super Sweet 100s that got a big old haircut. White cherry, which also got a big old haircut. There's some Verbinia that's just kind of growing crazy because I let it. Another clone, this is of a pineapple tomato. You can see that it got a little bit of a haircut too. It was kind of going wonky, and so I fixed it. Our blackberry is going nuts and coming over here for some reason, and I still need to move it. See, it's actually on top of a tomato. This tomato is another pineapple tomato, and so is this one. And you can see everything is going fine. We have a volunteer pepper over here that I don't know if it was just a grocery store bought pepper and it's decided to grow, but it's a volunteer. Now, our soybeans are done with. The jade bush beans also done with. I have a couple of more pepper volunteers. I'm gonna say that this one's probably a lemon drop pepper and another sugar rush peach pepper here that just volunteered themselves. Our peanuts are actually quite a lot bigger than I expected them to be, but they are producing peanuts. They have got pegs going into the ground, and I'm excited to see how they turn out. Of course, if you were watching our last video, then you saw the cowpeas. The cowpeas are going great. They are starting to dry, and I will have a harvest, I'm sure, for the next couple weeks. The scarlet runner bean actually didn't do very well for me this year. It is hidden somewhere all up in here. You can see flowers sometimes, but it hasn't done well at all, which surprised me. Then we had the Sultan's Crescent, but they didn't do well. They're getting covered up by all the hyacinth bean. So this is purple hyacinth bean. There's actually white hyacinth bean in there too, but it's kind of taken over by the purple hyacinth bean, and you can see it is insane. But the hummingbirds really like it, and the carpenter bees really like it, which I'm glad. It kind of helps add to the ecosystem, so I'm fine with it. And then over here on the very last, which is still producing pods, is Kentucky Wonder as well as Blue Lake pole bean. I've let some of these go to seed, but I've been plucking them off the last couple weeks. You can see they're still producing. The weather cooled off and the beans were like, hey, let's do this, let's go. And so guys, that is everything in the garden this week. Over here is our sugar baby bush watermelon plant. You can see that the spider mites are really getting after my whole garden. I really need to spray everything down. But here is the watermelon. I am not sure how well it's doing. I've never grown watermelons before, and so far this is only the size of, like, I don't know, a softball, a grapefruit, and it feels soft. I'm not thinking that's a good sign, which really is a bummer because it's the only one I really have growing. There was a second one, but it's so tiny. And then we have a second vine here in another pot. It's putting a lot more vine out, but it's only gotten one little fruit going, and so far that's about it, unfortunately. So they were okay in the pot, it looks like, but something needs to be done to maybe help the fruit. I'm not for certain. So if you guys have ever grown watermelon, if you have any ideas about maybe what I did wrong, that would be totally welcome. I would love to hear about that in the comments. And that's it. That's all I have in the garden this year. We are planning on really transforming the garden this fall probably, because we want to put a storage building in this area, especially back here where it gets a lot of shade between the two trees. I can't seem to grow anything reliably in the corners of the garden, and because of that we need to make a change, and we need storage area for the bees, all the bees like frames and all that other stuff, plus our gardening tools and maybe the lawnmower, etc. So that's the plan. So you may be along for the ride when we actually start to dig all this dirt out of these drums and start to move them around. But I don't know what that's going to look like or when yet, but possibly in the plans. So that's all I had for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed just looking at the whole garden and seeing how everything grew this year, and seeing sort of comparing my garden to maybe your garden this year too, and seeing how things went for me. How did things go for you? Tell me in the comments below if you had a better season or maybe not so good season. I know that tomatoes, like literally everyone that I talked to, tomatoes were really late. My harvest didn't even start coming until, I want to say July? End of July? Something like that. And so I'm hoping this bumper crop will help, but all of my canning tomatoes died, so that kind of sucked. Oh well, what can you do? But yep, that's it. So guys, if you liked this video, go ahead and give me that thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you get notifications every time I put out something new. Whether it's the bees or the garden or other projects that we're starting here on the farm and garden, then you could be alerted. Well, that's just about it. I really do hope that you have a great rest of your day, guys, and a great rest of your week. And I hope I'll see you soon. Until then, guys, we'll see you later.